The jury, the defendant, and all counsel. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Did any of you see anything about this case on the media, including the internet, television, radio, newspaper? I see no hands. Mr. Martinez, you may continue with follow-up.
Ma'am, one of the things you did for the jurors was describe the shooting. Do you remember answering a question for the jurors involving that?
Yes.
And what you actually said was that it actually started when you were taking photographs of Mr. Alexander in the shower, correct?
The shooting, no. The whole incident that precipitated it, yes.
So yes, this did start with you taking photographs in the shower, correct?
Yes.
And you were taking photographs of him in the shower, and according to you, there came a point where you sort of fumbled the camera and you took a photograph of his rear or posterior, correct?
I don't remember the order the photos were taken in.
Pardon?
I don't know the order that the photos were taken in.
Well, do you remember telling us that, that exhibit number 160 this photograph here, take a look at it. Which is the last of the sequence at 5:30:30. Do you remember telling us that that was the photograph that you took when the camera was being fumbled? Do you remember telling us, not us, telling me that on cross-examination?
No, I don't. I remember saying that it was inadvertent.
And also, this is an inadvertent photograph then?
Yes, that was not intentionally taken.
It was not intentionally taken, right?
That's correct.
And this was when you were fumbling the camera, correct?
I don't know if that was taken when I was fumbling it or not.
So, but you took this photograph, but it was inadvertent in the sense that you didn't mean to press the button to capture this image, correct?
Correct.
And after that, ma'am, he continued to be in the shower because the camera didn't actually fall down to the floor, right? Overall.
I don't know when that photo was taken. It was just taken during the sequence of the events.
Well, you do remember that. You told us that this was an inadvertent photograph, right?
Yes.
And then if we take a look at the next one of the ones that were seized that you deleted, which is Exhibit 161.
Objection beyond the scope of the questions.
Approach, please. May continue.
This is another inadvertent photograph, correct?
That's correct.
And that's at 5:31:14, correct?
Yes.
And so if the math is correct, the difference between the one where he's seated and this one is 44 seconds, right?
I didn't see the time on the other one.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at it then. It's 5:30:30, correct?
Correct.
So it's 44 seconds difference, correct?
Yeah, what was the other time? Sorry.
Sure. 5:31:14 and 5:30:30.
Okay, yes.
It is 44 seconds, correct?
Yes.
And this exhibit 161 is when the camera, according to you, actually hit the ground, right?
I don't know if it's hitting the ground as that photo was taken or not.
So you don't know how this photograph was taken then, right?
It could have been when I was trying to catch it. I don't know.
At some point, the camera hits the ground, right?
Yes.
That's what you told the jury, right?
It hits the mat, yes, and rolls to the top.
Ma'am, yes or no? Didn't you tell the jury that the camera hit the ground near the shower? Yes or no?
No. I said it landed on the mat.
Is that near the shower?
Yes.
Is the mat on the floor near the shower?
Yes.
And the camera hitting the mat, would that be near the shower?
Yes.
So you did tell us then that the camera went down, hit the mat or went down near the shower, didn't it?
Yes.
And then it rolled, right?
Yes.
You just can't tell us if this is the photograph that was taken then, though, right?
I don't know exactly.
Sustained.
And you then said that Mr. Alexander became very upset, right?
Yes.
And that's what started this whole thing out, because he sort of stepped out of the shower and then came after you, right?
He picked me up,
That's coming after you, isn't it?
I guess. I think when I think of coming after, I think of chasing, but he was already
Well-
right next to me.
So he didn't come after you then, all right? So at that point, you weren't afraid because he wasn't coming after you then, right?
I was afraid because he picked me up and body
Yeah,
slammed
ma'am,
me.
were you not afraid because he wasn't coming after you? You said he wasn't coming after you, right?
Objection, double negative compound question.
Overruled.
He wasn't chasing me yet. We were right next to each other.
So he wasn't coming after you, correct? That's what you just said, right?
I don't really know what you mean by coming after.
Ma'am, I asked you the question. Do you remember me asking you the question and you saying, no, he wasn't coming after me at that time? Do you remember that you just said that not more than a minute or so ago?
No, a moment ago I said I think of coming after as chasing.
So he's in the shower and he's making movements towards you. Would that be fair?
Yes.
And according to you, those movements culminated or continued when he grabbed you and put you down on the ground, right?
Yes.
And as a result of that, you said that you bumped your head or hit your head, right?
Yes.
And that maybe it knocked the wind out of you, right?
Yes.
And that you were in fear at that point, right?
Yes, very much.
And that you were able to fight him off so that you could get away, right?
I rolled.
Okay, so you rolled so that you were able to get away, correct?
Yes.
He wasn't, for whatever reason, either strong enough or didn't have a good enough hold on you so that you could get away, right?
He let me go when he body slammed me.
Okay, so then you went down on the ground and he's standing over you, right? With it next to your shins, right?
Somewhere in that area, yes.
And then you roll away and you begin to run down the hallway, right?
Yes.
One of the things that you also indicated with regard to one of the juror questions was that it was possible that the camera was picked up by Mr. Alexander and then deposited or placed at the end of the hallway. Do you remember answering that?
Yes, I remember saying it was possible.
You did say that, yes or no?
Yes.
And if that's true then, that's what you really believe, then that would mean that after he body slammed you and you took off, he started looking at the camera, right?
If that was what I believed, but I didn't
Right.
say that's what I believed
Well, you said it was possible before, didn't you?
because somebody asked if it was possible.
You did say it, yes or no?
Yes.
And so if it's possible, you said it, if it's possible that he picked up the camera, then that would require him to bend down, because it was on the ground, right?
Yes.
Pick it up, right?
Yes.
Look at it or do whatever he was going to do with it, right?
I don't know what he would do when he picked it up.
Right, but we talked about the possibility and you agreed that it was possible, right?
Certainly possible. I
If
would
he's
think.
doing that and he's looking at the camera and you're down the hallway, he's not very close to you, is he?
Not at that, if that's even what happened, but I don't know how to even answer that.
Right?
I don't know.
Well, no, you said that it was possible. Do you remember saying it was possible?
Yes.
And if that's possible, then you're down the hallway and it's also possible that he's not very close to you then, right? If we're using the word possible, right?
Either scenario is possible. He could be close or not.
Oh, so he was so close that you could turn around and see him even though he turned to look at the camera?
I don't know. I guess I could have turned around, but I wasn't thinking of turning around. I was thinking of getting away.
You didn't turn around, right?
Not when I was running down the hall.
Right. You didn't see him, did you?
No.
And the fact that he may have turned to go to the camera adds time to this sequence of events, doesn't it?
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled.
Well, I don't know that he did that, so I don't know how to answer that.
I understand that you don't know that he did that, but you said it was possible. Do you remember saying that it was possible in response to one of the questions?
Objection, ask and answer.
Sustained.
Well, if it's possible that he did that, that indicates that there's a measure of time involved for Mr. Alexander to look down there, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
I guess.
When you say you guess, that means what? What does that mean?
It means
Yes or
all
no?
possibilities are a guess because I didn't look back, so I don't know what was going on.
And if he then took it and placed it down in the end of the hallway, one of the things that you didn't tell us was that you heard a bump or anything like that. You didn't hear anything dropping, did you?
After the camera,
Overruled.
after the camera dropped, I don't recall hearing another drop.
Right. So if he would have dropped it at the end of the hallway, you can't sit here and tell us that you heard anything, right?
That's right, after that.
And then you went into the closet, right?
Correct.
According to you, that's where you went and obtained the gun, right?
Yes.
You went up on the shelving and you got the gun, right?
Yes.
Then you went out the door and into the bathroom again, right?
Yes.
When you went into the bathroom, you were able to turn around, if you will, and now you had the gun in your hands, right? That's what you told us, right?
Yes.
And that's when he was coming at you in this linebacker pose, right?
Around that time, yes.
And that's when you shot him in the face, right?
Yeah, that's when the gun went off.
No, you keep saying the gun went off. The gun was in your hand, right?
Yes.
In hands. Actually, the way you demonstrated was in both hands, right?
Right.
And you were pointing it at him, right?
Yes, I did point it at him.
And there was a metal thing or a bullet that came out of it, and it hit him in the head, right?
Yes.
So then, according to you, he fell on top of you, right?
It was kind of on top, but maybe more to the right. I don't know. It wasn't directly on top of me. I was trying to prevent him from getting on top of me.
And he did get on top of you at that point, and you were in fear for your life, right?
Absolutely.
And he was, according to you, and he was saying things to you, right?
Yes.
And one of the other things that you told us in response to a juror question was that when you are stressed out and people are yelling at you, you're like a computer that freezes, right?
Typically, yes.
And this computer that freezes, you said, I can't, people may be talking, but I can't remember or know what they're saying, right?
That's correct.
And so in this case, that's what happened. You, according to you, you were in fear for your life, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
So that would mean that things were going on in your head and you were stressed out in your head, right?
It was a very high stressful situation.
So the answer is yes, right?
Yes, I'd say that.
And however, at this particular point, when you're down there and you're trying to get away and you're in this stressful situation, for whatever reason, this is one of the times that your computer doesn't freeze up, right?
Well, I don't remember everything he was screaming. I only remember pieces. So
Yes
I don't
or
know.
no?
I don't know that it was completely frozen. I remember a few phrases.
Well, you used that analogy when you were answering questions for the jurors, didn't you?
Yes.
You said that your computer froze and you don't remember what people say, right?
Yes, that's the best analogy I can think of.
Right, and that's what you said, right?
Correct.
And so in this particular case, though, even though your computer is frozen, you do remember what he said, right?
Not everything, just a few phrases.
Sure, the real operative phrase, fucking kill you, bitch. You remember that one, right?
Absolutely, the threat on my life, I remember
Right.
that.
That's so even though your computer may have frozen us to everything else, that's the one thing you do remember, though, right?
I recall that specifically.
And then you got up, and then the fog started to come in, right?
I'd say the fog started to come in after the gunshot. After I got up and he threatened my life, I have no clear memories after that.
And that's when the memory issue started, correct? Right?
I'd say that.
Actually, man, the way you describe that, it's impossible for the killing to have happened in that manner, isn't it?
Objection argumentative.
No, that's just according to you.
Isn't it?
No, it's not impossible.
Well, man, we know that there's some action that is going on at 5:31:14, right? Something's going on there, right?
Yes.
We also know that Exhibit 162 is 5:32:16, which is a minute and 2 seconds later, correct?
Correct.
You didn't have the camera with you when you shot him, right?
I did not.
So this needed to have happened before you shot him, right?
That's correct.
So we're talking about a minute and 2 seconds between this and this right here, 162. Exhibit 162, right?
Yes.
Ma'am, do you remember on cross-examination that I asked you about the knife? The knife that you said had been used to cut the rope. Do you remember me asking you about that on cross-examination?
Yes.
And do you remember that you told me, well, it was used initially to cut the rope? You told us that, right?
Yes.
And then after it was on your wrist, it was used to cut the rope off your wrist. Do you remember telling us that?
No, I remember you saying that.
Pardon?
I remember you saying that, but that's not what I said.
So you're saying that the last time you saw the knife was when it was used to cut the rope, right?
That's correct.
And do you remember that during that same cross-examination, ma'am, I asked you, well, did the knife go in the bedroom? And you said, I don't know. Do you remember telling me that?
Yes.
I asked you if it went into the closet, and you said you didn't know, right?
That's right.
You said you didn't know where that knife had gone, right?
I said that I didn't remember where it ended up.
Right, which means you don't know where it was, right?
That's
After the first cutting, you don't know where it was, right? That's what you said.
Yeah, I can't remember where it was placed after we cut the rope.
Right, which is the point. You don't remember where the knife was after it was used to cut the rope, right?
Yes.
And if that's the case, that you don't remember where the knife was, after the shooting, as you're standing there, and the fog or your memory comes in or the memory starts to create a problem when you're doing there, the fog doesn't help you remember things, does it? It's not a good thing for your memory, is it?
Well, the way you described it isn't accurate.
Well, I'm asking you whether or not this fog that you've described for us, whether or not this fog enhances your ability or improves your ability to remember. Yes or no?
I don't understand how memory works in the brain. I just know
No,
that
I'm not
things get
asking
foggy
you
up.
to talk to me about the physiology of the brain. I'm asking about you. And I'm asking you to tell me whether or not this fog that you've been telling us about increases your ability to remember, even though you're going into this fog.
I would not say that it increases, but I don't know. I don't remember.
How about this lack of memory? Does the lack of memory increase your ability to remember things you didn't remember before?
I don't know.
You don't know? Well, you're the one that has been telling us about these instances where Mr. Alexander would come at you, according to you, and then that would and abuse you, and that would create memory issues for you. Do you remember telling us that?
On some instances, it
Sure.
did.
You're the only one that knows about this memory stuff, right? Because according to you, it happened to you, right?
I don't think I'm the only one that knows.
Well, I'm not asking if you're the only one that knows. I'm asking you whether or not you are the one that has the best knowledge about what happens to you when this fog rolls in.
Objection calls for speculation.
Overruled, to me answer.
I don't really have an understanding of what happens. I just know I can only describe it the best that I can.
And in describing it, ma'am, to use your word, when the fog rolls in, it does not improve your memory, does it?
I don't know. I wouldn't say it does.
Well, in this case, ma'am, so you've now shot him. You've told us that the fog is rolling in and that you have no memory. You still don't know where the knife is, do you?
Objection.
I don't know.
Argumentative.
Overruled.
I don't remember a lot from that period. It could be.
Right, but you told us before that period even that you didn't know where the knife was. Do you remember just telling me that?
Today, as I sit here, I don't remember where the knife was. On June 4th, I might have remembered where it
Ma'am,
was.
do you remember in cross-examination that I asked you if you knew where the knife was on June 4th? And you said, no, I don't remember where the knife was because I didn't pay attention to what he was doing with it. Do you remember telling us that on cross-examination?
I didn't use those words. I just said that he cut the rope, and I don't remember where he put it when he was done cutting the
Those
rope.
aren't the exact words, but that was the understanding that you remembered about him cutting the knife, but you didn't remember where he had put the knife back then. That's what you told us on cross-examination. Do you remember that? Because the prosecutor was trying to ascertain from you where the knife had gone. Right?
Those two questions.
Which one do you want to answer? Answer them both.
I'll answer the first one. I don't remember saying that. I remember speculating that it could have gone to the nightstand or it could have been left in the bathroom. I don't recall talking about the closet, which you brought up a few minutes ago. And then if that's right, I don't remember the second question.
So if you don't know where it was, it could have been in the closet, right?
Objection, argumentative.
I don't know.
When there's an objection, don't answer the question.
I'm sorry.
Rule on the objection.
Okay.
Your objection is
Argumentative.
overruled.
Right?
I don't know.
And so as you shot Mr. Alexander, you by necessity then have to go look for the knife, don't you?
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, you didn't have the knife in your hand when you shot him. Did you?
Sustained.
Did you have the knife in your hand when you shot him?
Objection, argumentative. It's the same question.
Overruled.
No, I did not.
So that means that if you didn't have the knife in your hand, you needed to go get it from somewhere, right?
I guess. I don't know.
No. There's no guessing here now. If you didn't have it in your hand and you just shot him and you rolled away, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustained.
You got out. You were able to get away, right? That's what you told us, right?
That's right.
You needed to go get that knife at that point, correct?
No, it's possible Travis grabbed the knife first.
Okay. But you told us that the knife wasn't there. Do you remember telling us that just now?
Objection, mischaracterizes her testimony.
Overruled.
No, I remember testifying that it wasn't in my hand when the gun went off.
Oh, so as Mr. Alexander's coming towards you, he now has the knife in his hand. That's what you're telling us.
No, I didn't say that either.
Okay, so as Mr. Alexander is getting blasted and going down, he's got the knife in his hand, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
That was all in the same moment when he was lunging at me.
Doesn't have the knife in his hand, does he?
Not in that particular moment, no.
Ma'am, I'm asking you, at that particular time, he didn't have the knife in his hand, right?
I just said no.
And he goes down, sort of next to you, right?
Yes, we both go tumbling.
Sure, you both go down. You never told us that he had any knife there, did you?
No, I wasn't asked.
Oh, I see. So what you're saying is, now he has the knife with him, right? Now that's what you're saying, he's got the knife.
I didn't say that either.
Well, which one is it, ma'am? Does he have the knife or he doesn't have the knife? You were there. This is before.
Argumentative, asked and answered about 3 times now.
Sustained.
You do then agree that if you didn't know where the knife was, and Mr. Alexander didn't have it, it would take time for you to go find that knife, wouldn't it?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
I don't know. I don't know where the knife was.
Right. Since you didn't know where the knife was, it would take time to go find it, irrespective of where it was, wouldn't it?
Objection, this mischaracterizes her testimony or memory now and her memory or awareness at that time.
Overruled.
Can you repeat your question?
Janelle, could you?
You do then agree that if you didn't know where the knife was and Mr. Alexander didn't have it, would it take time for you to go find that knife, wouldn't it?
I don't know the answer to that.
You don't think that a movement, such as a step, takes time?
Again, argumentative.
Sustained.
Ma'am, if the knife wasn't, even if the knife was there, your grabbing it took time, didn't it?
Objection, argumentative. It's the same question.
Overruled.
I guess in theory, I don't remember grabbing it.
All right, in theory. And if the knife, for example, since you can't tell us where it was, but if the knife was in the bedroom, which some of the action was going on there, that would have taken more time than if it was, for example, in the closet, right?
Objection calls for speculation, argumentative.
Overruled.
Not necessarily. I don't remember it being in the closet, and it would depend on the point of if it were ever in the closet at all,
I'm not
or the
asking
bedroom.
you that question. My question is more about time. Isn't it true that if the knife was in the bedroom or the closet as opposed to the bathroom, that would take more time to go and get it, right?
At that point, I guess, because we were in the bathroom when
Right.
we fell.
Right. And if you didn't know where it was, assuming that you didn't know where it was back then, it would have taken time to actually look for it, wouldn't it?
Objection causes speculation. She has no memory.
Overruled.
I guess under that theory,
Sure, under that theory. It would take time, right?
yeah, I guess.
Well, again, you keep saying, I guess, like you don't know about time. You own a watch, right? Or at some point in your life, you've owned watches, right?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
You know about time, ma'am. You know that movement takes time, don't you?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
In this case, what we have to deal with, as we did the mathematics, 62 seconds. And what you're telling us, under your scenario, is that in 62 seconds, you get body slammed, you do whatever you do, but you get away, you run down the hallway, you go in the closet, you grab a gun, you back up, you shoot Mr. Alexander. After you shoot Mr. Alexander, you pick up the camera because you said there's only possibility, and he's already down the hallway with his throat slit. Right? That's what you're telling us happened in those 62 seconds.
It's
Right?
argumentative lack of foundation.
Overruled. You may answer.
I didn't say that was the only possibility with the camera. So that wasn't correct the way you asked it.
I'm not asking
And I don't
you
know that his
about-
throat is slit in that picture either.
I'm not asking you about the possibility. I'm asking you if you're telling us that within 62 seconds, you drop the camera, because that's what precipitates these things. And we have this right here where there's some action, which is exhibit number 161, that in the 62 seconds between that photograph and exhibit 162, you are body slammed, you get away, you go down the hallway, you go in the closet, you get the gun, you go into the bathroom again, you then turn around and you point the gun, you shoot him, he goes down, he's still pawing at you and saying, fucking kill you, bitch. And then, after you're able to get away, you go get the knife, and he ends up at the end of the hallway, all in 62 seconds. That's what you're telling us?
No, that's not what I'm saying. And he didn't say fucking kill you, bitch, till I got away. And
Pardon?
he didn't say fucking kill you, bitch, until after I got away. You said he said it before I broke away, but he said it right as I broke away.
So he did say it, though, didn't he?
He did say that.
Right. And he said it after you shot him, right?
Yes, that occurred afterward.
Right. And after he was grabbing at you, right?
Yes,
After you were able to get away, right?
right as I was breaking away.
That's when he said, fucking kill you, bitch, right?
That's correct.
And then you had to go get the knife for everything to occur so that we got here.
I don't know all the particulars of what's going on in that picture, so I can't even say if that's true or not.
Do you deny that that's your foot there? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not denying anything about the photo. I just don't know details of the photo.
Well, you do know the timing of it, though, don't you? You know the
Yes.
amount of time, right?
Yes,
And you understand that, for example, this thing right here is blood, and blood doesn't happen unless you get cut, right?
Objection. It's argumentative. She doesn't know the source of there's several injuries testified to.
Sustained.
Now, man, the other thing there's another reason why your scenario is impossible, the one that you talked to us about, isn't there?
Objection argumentative.
Sustained.
Well, ma'am, let's talk about this issue of him getting shot. You say that he gets shot, right?
that's correct.
Goes down, and you describe for us that he's pawing at you, and then you're able to sort of stand up, fucking kill you, bitch, and then the fog rolls in, right?
No, then I have no memory. The fog was already there.
The fog was already there. And the fog was, when did the fog set in then? If it didn't set in then?
I don't recall an exact time, but
No,
definitely
sequence
as the
of
gun.
events. I'm not asking for time, just sequence of events.
Right, well, definitely after the gun went off, things are starting to get, my memory's, I don't know, it starts to get a little bit more confusing at that point.
And at the time that your mind starts fogging up when the gun went off, you haven't seen the knife, right?
I mean, I saw it earlier.
Sure you did, but not as part of this attack, right?
That's correct.
And so we've talked about it, but you do then have to get the knife in your hand for there to be injuries like in 180, right?
Your Honor, beyond the scope of the questions.
Please.
Your Honor, there was an objection.
May continue.
You indicated to, in response to a juror's question, that the shooting happened and he went down, right?
Yes,
And that you were able to roll away, correct? Or get up.
yes,
And you stood up, and as you're getting up is when he threatened you, right?
yes, that's when he verbally threatened me.
At no time in response to that question did you ever indicate that Mr. Alexander's hands were in contact with any knife, did you?
No, I did not.
And given the time constraints here and the fact that you didn't know where the knife was, it would have been impossible for you not to have the knife with you when the attack happened, right?
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
I don't understand that question.